This is a video about the Nikon 14-30 f4 lens. So let's get into it. Now at the time of recording this, I've only had this lens for a month. So think of this video as a quick, real-world, hands-on road test first impression, not a review. So I'm going to show you how this lens performs shooting the things I like to shoot. And as someone who does a lot of landscape photography, I tested this lens shooting, you guessed it, landscape photography. Now, I found myself in Lamington National Park in Queensland, Australia, waterfall hunting. This is an ancient mountainous rainforest full of enormous trees and indigenous folk stories. Using the Nikon Z6, I proceeded to get busy. As I was in the rainforest, I had to be quick, moving from waterfall to waterfall because the weather was changing. So it was a bit of a task to capture every waterfall before the rain came. And then the rain did come. Now these images turned out pretty good. I'm quite happy with them, especially using this lens for the first time. It seems sharp, as you'd expect, but what I'm really impressed with is the weight of this lens and the Z6. I hiked over 20 kilometers that day, and having such a small camera and lens footprint was a godsend. At just under 1 kilo combined, this is a perfect option for any long distance photo treks you might be doing in the future. Next up, sunrise. So I found myself on the bayside of Brisbane at 5:50 a.m. in the morning. The conditions weren't that great for photos, but these are the breaks of being a landscape photographer, working with what you have, and that includes early morning starts. I find there's always something special in capturing a sunrise. To have the opportunity to see the sun first break is always fantastic, and it's up to me to capture these moments respectively. Now the images. As I said, the morning wasn't that impressive, so I had to make do with what I had. The tide was out, but there was still enough to shoot while out on the mudflats. As expected, the lens was superb, nothing out of the ordinary there. However, I did notice some slight vignetting at 14mm while at f4, but nothing too terrible. Okay, now for my final landscape shot, a sunset. So I was looking to get some early evening purple and gold tones here, and taking advantage of the fact that this lens can use a screw-on filter. This is great as it means that I don't have to carry sheets of welding glass in my backpack just to drag the shutter a bit. I used an ND8 filter for these images. And here's a super long exposure, just for good measure. I think this was about 4 minutes. Or maybe 2 minutes, I forget. So the fact I can use a screw-on filter on this lens is a big plus. For me, the smaller the footprint and the less weight I have to carry can make or break me wanting to use it. It's what I want in a wide-angle lens, to be honest. As someone who has been shooting on micro four thirds for many years, moving to the Nikon mirrorless system and using these Z mount lenses has been a very easy transition. The overall quality of these lenses is great and it's very exciting. Now, as I've only had this lens for a month, I've really been impressed with it. The sharpness is great, the image reproduction is great. In fact, the overall lens optics are all great. Not a real surprise, but the fact it takes a screw-on filter, it's small, lightweight, and weather sealed are all just fantastic things to have. Things I'm not that much of a fan of though is the build quality feeling very plasticky. That's a bit of a bummer. The slight vignetting at 14mm and only being f4 is also a bit of a bummer. But really, it's not that big of a deal. And to be honest, what I'm using it for, it doesn't really affect it that much. I have thoroughly enjoyed using the 14-30 for the short time that I've had it. And it's handled everything I've thrown at it very well. But I haven't really pushed it to its limits yet. Being new to the Nikon mirrorless world and jumping in blind to the 14-30 has been an interesting experience as a micro four thirds user. But I must say, the more that I use this lens, the more that I love it, which is a good sign. So there you go, examples and an opinion of what the Nikon 14-30 can do. Thanks for watching. Hi, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Want to watch more? Luckily, there's another video about something that's just popped up, which you can watch, but only if you want to, I guess. Cheers.